In December 2024, the gas transit contract between Ukraine and Russia expires. European Commissioner Kadri Simpson, during a visit to Kyiv, said that Europe had been preparing to cut off gas supplies since the start of Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine.
We were thinking about how the European Union could survive without Russian gas. It will cost us a lot, but we are ready for it. We knew that Russia was not a reliable supplier, and all our risk assessments were designed in such a way that at one point Europe could be left without Russian gas supplies.
The Commission is also going to impose sanctions on Russia's so-called shadow fleet, which continues to transport Russian oil despite EU restrictions. Vessels will be prohibited from entering European ports, and those that are at least a quarter owned by Russians will not be allowed to work in the EU. There is no ban on the import of aluminium in the draft, but there is a ban on the import of helium.
The measures being discussed include banning the import of Russian helium, tightening export restrictions on magnesium ore and other rare earth components, and prohibiting port access for around 11 shipping vessels suspected of aiding Russia's war effort, from a publication by Bloomberg.
As Polish radio reports, the package includes measures to ban transshipment of Russian LNG in European ports, from where it is then sent around the world. The leader here is Belgium and its port of Zeebrugge. The introduction of such sanctions will deal an additional blow to the Russian LNG supply chain and future revenues of projects such as Arctic LNG 2, the Ust-Luga LNG terminal and the Murmansk plant.
We can already see how the capabilities of the Russian Federation to purchase and order gas carriers are being reduced. South Korean companies have already refused supplies. And who else produces such ships? There are actually few companies in the world. And those projects that were pompously opened in the Russian Federation, like Yamal LNG or Arctic LNG 2, are about to be closed.
As for the new gas projects that Russia is currently implementing with the assistance of China, they will not help it to gain a foothold in the gas market, but on the contrary will make Russia dependent on China, as some experts predict.
В Российской Федерации не осознают ту зависимость, которую
The Russian Federation does not realize the dependence on China into which Russia falls year after year. And it may happen that it will be obliged to pay for these cheapest loans for the construction of non-working projects and non-working production lines. I think it will be necessary to pay with land.
The EU is also preparing to disconnect Moscow from the Russian analog of the SWIFT payment system, which belongs to the Bank of Russia, Bloomberg reports. Moreover, additional sanctions are planned against transport companies that are owned by Russians by more than 25%. 50 companies outside the EU will also be subject to trade restrictions. They help the aggressor state avoid sanctions and they bypass Western goods. It was previously reported that the restrictions would affect companies from China, Hong Kong, Turkey and Kyrgyzstan. Also in the EU, Russian funding of political parties and foundations and non-governmental organizations and research centers will be prohibited. Reported by Diana Kolesnik, Victoria Smirnova, UATV News.